Hello, Dijana here from Aspect Astrology, bringing you an overview of the upcoming new moon solar eclipse in Gemini on June the 10th, which is going to happen at 8:08 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also going to be covering off some other astrological aspects happening in June. So given this is a new moon, it's all about new information and communication. If you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please make sure that you do so that you can keep aware of all the astrological changes when they happen. Okay, so I got my self-promotion out of the way. So we recently experienced the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, and I hope many of you got to witness this spectacular event and took the opportunity to release any belief systems that you were, or that were no longer working for you. And so now 2 weeks later, with this solar eclipse and new moon in Gemini, we're entering a phase of assessing and reviewing possible new ways of thinking, of taking in new information. So after the lunar eclipse, what you have let go of as a belief system during that eclipse now requires you to access new information. This solar eclipse in Gemini is all about further processing to collate the information you may need to develop new learnings that can later kind of settle into a new belief structure that will actually then serve you more beneficially. This new moon solar eclipse sees both the sun and the moon together in the mutable signs of Gemini and sitting directly next to the ruler of Gemini, Mercury. But this time, Mercury's retrograde, so appearing to go backwards. And this is going to slightly temper down the intensity of this Gemini energy and provide an opportunity to do a lot of mental processing and evaluation, particularly about something that you may have wanted to start. However, now you need to assess whether or not you've been thinking things through properly, maybe to reevaluate, reassess, review whether or not you've let go of some of the belief systems that could have been holding you back, and what new thinking is going to serve you from here. So as much as new moons are about fresh starts, this one is kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It might feel like there's still a lot of reevaluation to still be done. And perhaps something that you thought or some information that you've been working with, you could potentially discover it's not exactly as you first thought, and therefore you need to restart and make a second attempt. Now, this is all because Mercury is retrograde, but it's also got to do with some other aspects. But it's still very much Gemini energy, which of course is about communication, listening skills, activity in your daily life, socializing, writing, speaking, connecting, learning, and our overall mental and sometimes nervous energies. So Gemini being a dual sign and Mercury being retrograde could kind of give you the feeling that on one hand you might feel propelled to begin something new, a new mental activity or project, but on the other, you discover further information that can potentially cause a pause, a slowdown, a review. So during this solar eclipse, we have Gemini energy also making a square to Neptune, which is in the sign of Pisces. And this might place a veil of confusion over things. So Neptune on one level can dissolve and confuse. And this aspect may make it a little bit harder to have genuine clarity in our mind. Where we may be craving detail and facts, Neptune makes it much harder. We could find ourselves at risk of not hearing what is indeed being said, receiving unclear instructions, getting information that's not exactly as it seems. So be extra aware of this during this time. So in one way, as much as you may want to move forward on new projects, especially mental projects or anything at all that requires detail, Neptune is kind of saying, sorry, not quite yet. So on a higher level, Neptune represents our intuitive, imaginative and spiritual selves. So it could be really prudent to, rather than push against this energy, to surrender and trust that the unknowns and the timing will be right when it's right. So Neptune will be hiding some of the details that we need for proper new start energy. And so it might be really wise to just simply sit with the fact that you don't actually have all the details yet, and that you don't have to figure it all out yet. And this energy will pass, and by the time the sun moves into Cancer, it will make a trine to Neptune. So things will be much more apparent. So that's going to happen in like a month's time. The day after the solar eclipse, also Mars moves from the sign of Cancer into Leo. Mars, while it was in Cancer, may have had our emotions in full drive, where we could have reacted or overreacted to things that would not usually bother us so much. And our overall energy could have been feeling quite sluggish. However, now in Leo, Mars is much happier. Our will, our passion, our creativity, and overall energy drive will absolutely increase. However, we need to still be aware that Mars is and will be around this time as well in opposition to Pluto. So any power struggles that you may have been dealing with in your life could fire up at this time. So make sure you're clear in your listening and your communications, and be aware once again that you might not have all the facts and you may not have all the answers. So that's not all. Exacerbating all this energy is the second Saturn in Aquarius making a square to Uranus in the sign of Taurus, the second one this year. The first occurred in the middle of February. And this time, however, Saturn is also retrograde. So this also dampens this energy slightly. But this is still a clash, both collectively and individually, regarding the battle of or our needs for stability, security, and certainty, and also need for individual expression, freedom, and breaking through outdated structures and rules. So on the one hand, we feel increased frustrations by restrictions and limitations that are placed on us both individually and collectively. However, we will still need some structure to avoid complete chaos. So being actively creative with these energies can bring rise to new and rebellious ideas that we can actually embed into our daily world. It's all about finding balance between structure and freedom, and stability and rebelliousness. No doubt this is uncomfortable energy, especially for those with strong chart placements in the sign of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. These are all fixed signs and they don't budge easily. And so one might really feel as though they're working at cross purposes. June is a big month astrologically, but with this new moon solar eclipse, I recommend trying to slow down a little bit more than you usually would with lots and lots of Gemini energy around. Take your time and allow your intuition to help, knowing that things will become clearer by mid next month. In the meantime, again, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're interested in discovering more about how astrology affects you, or getting a personal reading for yourself, go to my website at www.aspectastrology.com.au or email me with any questions, diana@aspectastrology.com.au. I will look forward to seeing you during the next full moon, which will be in Capricorn, and that will be happening in Australia on June the 25th. Until then, take care. Cheers.